Hello, welcome to my presentation for the session Contributing to Reproducible Knowledge. And the title of my presentation is Challenges and Benefits of Sen2Agri in the AWS Cloud. So a few words about me. Sorry, I'm Benjamin Goffart, and I'm working as a computer scientist at UCLouvain in Belgium. So we are working with a team of about 20 researchers, mainly in Earth observation. And I've been working a lot with the Sen2Agri system and also installation of Sen2Agri in the cloud. So that's what brings me here for that presentation. So first, we assume that we want to use Sen2Agri. So there's another presentation about Sen2Agri. Now we want to use it. So why working in the cloud? So here I will speak about AWS cloud, so the cloud of Amazon, but the Sen2Agri system can also be installed on other clouds. So there is EODC, CreoDIAS, the MundiDIAS, other clouds, and it's already installed and working in the other clouds also. But today it will be about AWS. So the first thing is that you will need quite a lot of resources for running Sen2Agri. So if you're running at a country level, you could need from 8 to 16 CPU, from 64 to 128 GB of RAM, about 10 terabytes, maybe more, of storage, and quite a good network connection. So that are specifications that you can have in the cloud. So a word about Sen2Agri data sources. So when you run Sen2Agri, it has to use images. So it will first query on ESA Scientific Data Hub. So the query is just to check which images are available for your site and the dates you choose. And then two options. Either you can download images from the site, or link to image on an AWS bucket. So the AWS bucket is a big storage with all the Sentinel-2 images available. So those are two options. If you are working locally, you have to download images from the SciHub. If you are working in the cloud, you can link to a bucket. So about the image availability. If you are working with the SciHub, so if you're working on your local installation and not in the cloud, you have to download the images from the SciHub, and there's only 1 year of archive, so from June 2019 until today. So it could be a limitation, but if you work with the bucket in the cloud, you can have the full archive of Sentinel-2 images from June 2015 until today. So you will have more images. A point over downloading versus linking. So if you are working with the SciHub, you really have to download the images. So it's a classical download, and so the time needed will really depends on your network connection, your bandwidth. But if you're working on the cloud, it's not download, it's linking. So it's just checking that images are there and make a link, and that step is made instantaneously. So you don't have a downloading phase. So you can really save some time for that step. Another point is scalability, security, reusability. So in the cloud, you can easily change storage, CPU, and RAM capacities. So if you want to first run a small test site with a few tiles, maybe only 1 month, you can just have a few resources. And then if you want to process images over the whole country, you can just add storage, add CPU, and add the RAM capacities easily. You can also make easy backups and snapshots of your machine, of your disks. So that's also an advantage. And you can make one install and then use multiple instances with that install. So I will come back later on that point, but that's really what will be useful here. So we want to use Sen2Agri. Let's assume that now we want to use Sen2Agri in the cloud. What can be simplified over working with Sen2Agri? So a few words about the Sen2Agri installation. So first you will have to launch an instance. So it's the classical installation of Sen2Agri in the cloud. You run an instance. You have to mount the data disk, also create a file system for the disk. So those are operations that you do on a Linux command line. Then you have to download the installation and reference files. So those files are available for all the installation of Sen2Agri. Then you have to run the system installer. So that step is quite easy. You just launch a script and all the system is installed. And then you have to mount the S3 bucket I spoke previously to access the images, and then configure the bucket usage. So those are all the steps that you have to run through if you want to install Sen2Agri. But we could create an AMI, so that's an Amazon machine image that could simplify all those steps. So to create an AMI, what we do first is creating an instance and then mounting a disk, installing Sen2Agri, and mounting the bucket. So those are the steps that I presented on the previous slides. So you remake a running instance with the Sen2Agri. And then next step is to create an image, so an AMI, from that instance. So that AMI will contain only the operating system and the Sen2Agri system. So no data on that image, no credentials. So the credentials are used because when you use the Sentinel images, you have to query on the SciHub, and when you want to use Landsat images, you have to query on the USGS, and so you have to put some credentials in Sen2Agri to access those data providers. So here we removed also the credentials, and we also removed the SSH key. So all personal data, I would say, are removed from the image. And then once we have that image, we can just launch multiple instances with that image. So every instance running will have the Sen2Agri system already installed, configured with an access to the bucket, with an access to the data disk, and that kind of thing. So you can just launch the instance and put your credentials, and also when you run the instance, you create an SSH key, and the Sen2Agri system is ready to use. So you can really save some time by skipping all the installation steps. So we want to use Sen2Agri, we want to work in the cloud, and then we want to use the AMI because it will save us some time, and it will really be easier. Then how to use that AMI? Well, first we have to share the AMI with your AWS user, so you have to create an account on AWS. And when I say we, it's because we worked with the team of Geo with their account, and so they can share that AMI with your account. And then you can just launch the instance using that AMI and put your credentials, as I said. And all those steps are already done, so you don't have to pass through the data disk, mount the bucket, and that kind of things. So it's really ready to use. So thank you for your attention. Thank you also to Florian and Gilberto, respectively from Geo and INPE, because we really worked together to have that AMI working. Thank you.